We're going to move on to the theme of Indigenous peoples. Mr. Trudeau, this is very recent. Last Thursday, you appealed a judgment that ordered the government to pay $40,000 to Indigenous children that were given to child protection. Were you not supposed to be the champion of reconciliation?
And we are, and we continue to champion reconciliation. We agree with the court that we absolutely have to compensate those children, and we're going to do that. We're going to work with them to establish the right level of compensation. But we have made concrete investments over the last 4 years. We were able to get rid of 87 long-term boil water advisories after 10 years where Mr. Harper did nothing. We've created new schools. We have made new investments in partnership with Indigenous peoples. But we understand that we need to continue to move forward. There's still a lot to do, but Chief Perry Bellegarde of the Assembly of First Nations has recognized that no government has done more for Indigenous peoples than we have.
Yes. Well, Mr. Trudeau, that's not true, because the Human Rights Tribunal has a ruling, and the lawyers for your government contested the results. It's not true what you said about being comfortable with the decision. The lawyers of the federal government are trying to overturn the ruling in favor of Indigenous children. It's a scandal.
With the court that we must compensate these children.
Listen, there are still problems.
I'm trying to understand, why do you appeal the decision?
Because the timeline of doing it by December doesn't work with the elections that we're in right now.
Yes, but
We are going to compensate those children, but it's going to take a bit of time to do it the right way.
I worked as a lawyer. Oh, I'm sorry.
Even today, not all reservations have running water, drinking water. It's not a question of money. The federal government has spent billions on public relations with Indigenous communities. The status quo just doesn't work. It's been years that we've been talking about building better relationships with Indigenous peoples, and that's true. But we need to start by abolishing the Indian Act. There needs to be greater autonomy on reservations. There needs to be a property rights on reservation, and there needs to be wealth creation on reservations. There needs to be pipelines built in collaboration with the First Nations so money can flow back to these Indigenous communities.
I
completely changed the way
agree that we have to get past the Indian Act, but it's up to the Indigenous peoples to decide how that's going to happen. There are several communities who have already done that, and we are working with all communities to allow them to do that, but at their speed and respecting their priorities.
I'd like to ask you to look at a question on culture now. We only brushed over it earlier. Some of you and Mr. Trudeau, it took you a long time, but you did make it a part of your commitments to impose a tax on web giants. Would you commit to giving this money back to the artists who produce the content and who only receive
That's exactly your proposal.
crumbs? They only receive the crumbs. Mr. Trudeau,
We are going to do more than just investing that money in culture.
Listen, this is our proposal. 3% levy, not a tax, a levy, because these giant companies exploit content that is not theirs. So that would be hundreds of millions of dollars for entertainment. Yes, of course, yes, it would be for the artists. So 40% of it would go to the francophone sector, as we see in the music industry.
Are we allowed to answer in long sentences? I would have said a lot more.
A tax on web giants that make a lot of money off of our economy, and we will make sure that this money will be used to help our programs. We'll create a new administration for digital media. There are many people who create content, but they do not see any revenue because web giants take all the money.
Well, the current system is unfair. These big web giants don't pay the HST. They should pay the HST just like anyone else. This is a federal area of jurisdiction. After we balance the budget, of course we'll reinvest.
Yes, it's a source of revenue for exactly what you propose, to help artists to give that revenue to our cultural community. But I want to add just one thing, because I've worked as a lawyer, and it's not true what the Prime Minister said, that the Human Rights Tribunal is, that he agrees with what it said. It's up to the government to do more.
The problem is that Mr. Trudeau swings to the left during the campaign, but then once he's in office, he swings back to the right. Yes, the internet giants need to be taxed, and we have to reinvest in culture. Yes.
Great. Thank